So, you want to start teaching English online, but you don't know where to start, what you need, or even where to apply. Well, stay tuned, it might just be simpler than you think. Hi, I'm Simmy. Welcome to my channel, Class in the Cloud. On this channel, you will find tips and suggestions to help you get started and to make a success of your online teaching and online learning journey. Now this is video 9 of a 10-part series. We're almost done. And in this video, we are going to talk about preparation. So if you have not watched the previous videos, make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss my next video. And most importantly, you don't miss my next series. Right, so let's jump right into it. Today's video is all about preparation and how to prepare for your lessons. This video is divided into 2 sections. Section number 1, I'm going to be talking about how to prepare for one-on-one 25-minute lessons, quick and easy guide. And the second part, I'm going to talk about how to prepare for a 45-minute lesson on Classin. So if you only want to watch the 45-minute lesson preparation, timestamp below. For the rest of you, let's jump right in. Right, so you have passed your interview, you've passed your mock class, you set up your classroom, and you're ready to teach. Now, how do you prepare for these online lessons? I've put together a foolproof system that saves me both time and energy. Now, the experts would tell you, and you would have read in your TEFL notes, and you would have seen on some other videos, that for every minute that you teach, you need to prepare. This is simply unrealistic, especially if you're teaching multiple lessons every day. So as mentioned, I have a foolproof system, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So here we go. On the board, I have a spreadsheet. Now, this is a nice spreadsheet. It gives me a nice outline to see my whole day on one page. The first column would be the time of my lessons. Now, my times are in Beijing time. This is for a simple reason. My students live in the Beijing time zone, and my support team live in the Beijing time zone. So it just makes sense that I should organize my life around Chinese time zones. Even my laptop is set at Beijing time. That's just my personal preference. In the beginning, it makes life easier. Right now, 2 to 3 years down the line, I can make the time switch like that, but I would be very careful to check your time zones, especially in the beginning. You do not want to be an hour late for class, or an hour early. Right, so time in Beijing time. Next, you have your classroom ID. Now, this is like a virtual classroom key. On most teaching platforms, each lesson has its own virtual classroom number. And this is a very important number for you to be able to access your classroom and for your support team to come and assist you should you need them during the lesson. I write these down not because I'm pedantic, but because sometimes if the teacher platform website page is not working the way it should, I still have the lesson ID, so I can still access the classroom from the application if I can't get in through the website. Right, so we have our classroom, we have our time. Next, we will look at the lesson code. Now, the lesson code is the number given to the PowerPoint presentation that you will be teaching, also known as a PPT. Usually on this lesson code, you will have the curriculum code, the level that the student is teaching, the unit number, and the lesson number. It is important to check these very carefully, especially if you're selecting the PPTs from a list. You do not want to be selecting the wrong PPT by accident and teaching the wrong lesson. You can get into quite some trouble. I've done that. Double check your lessons. Right, so we have our time, we have our classroom, and we have our lesson material. Next online, we are going to look at the student ID and student English name. Now in China, most people have a Chinese name and an English name. And it is important that you learn and know your student's English name. If you don't know the student's name, you can always go to the previous comments or feedbacks that other teachers have made. Perhaps I've written the name down there. It is always great to greet your student by name and to mention the student's name in feedback. It comes across as professional and shows that you really care. So learn your students' names. Eventually you'll be able to match up the profile name to the English name by just glancing, but I always write it down just for reference. Now that we've got the admin out of the way, which shouldn't take you more than a minute if you're copy and pasting, we can get to our actual preparation. I will go onto the teacher's platform the day before, and I will look at all my lessons for the next day. On the teacher platform, I can then also select the lesson that I'm teaching and I can open it. Now, I would suggest not to prepare your lesson more than 24 hours in advance. The reason why I say that is because on live schedules, students can still book a lesson or cancel 4 hours before the lesson time. So I usually do my prep the day before, and then 30 minutes before my first lesson, I double check everything. Right, so back to the day before. So it's now the day before and I can see the 10 lessons that I have booked for the next day. I don't necessarily go into each classroom, but I do open each PPT. On the PowerPoint presentation, I will flip through it very quickly. I'll pick up keywords that I need to teach, basic grammar, and key sentence patterns. It is important to write these down and to even practice them in front of the mirror if you're not familiar or if you're not comfortable, to make sure that you model it correctly and that you pronounce it correctly. Once I've written all those down, I will obviously have an idea of the lesson topic. Sometimes I will add a song. Now, it is important to remember 25 minutes is not long, and it is very important for the student to speak as much as possible within these lessons. Remember that your lesson is most likely their only English contact time for the entire day. So you don't want a song taking up that time. You don't want to be speaking all the time. The student needs to be speaking at least 70% of this lesson. So for my younger students, sometimes if I'm doing phonics, there'll be a short ABC song, or if we're doing days of the week or months of the year, you can add a song as a warm-up, but it shouldn't be longer than 1.5 to 2 minutes. Next, I will also look at what flashcards I need, what props I might need, and put all those aside for the next day. Especially if my day starts at 4 a.m, everything is together to start. The next thing I'll do is I'll look at the number of slides on my PowerPoint presentation. This gives me a good idea of how quickly or how slowly I can work. I like to end my lessons on the 24th minute and do my wrap up in the 24th minute into the 25th minute. That shows that you are prepared because you taught all the slides, and it gives the parents or the student a sense that they've actually got their money's worth. In the beginning, timestamps do help for that, but the more you teach within the 25-minute time frame, the better you'll become. And looking at the number of slides definitely does give you an idea of how fast or how slow you need to go. Then we get to the last column. This column you will only use after your lesson. I usually try and jot down a quick shorthand notes on pronunciation, grammar, and sentence patterns that the student might have battled with. This helps me to do a more comprehensive feedback when I do my feedbacks at the end of the day. Some people don't do that, but I like to do that because I tend to be a little bit forgetful, and you don't want to be copying and pasting and just writing generic feedback for every student. That is not just unprofessional, it's just impersonal. So to have a nice shorthand system takes you 10 seconds after your lesson, dup, 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 this is what the student battled with, and off you go to your next lesson. And that is my 25-minute lesson preparation. I hope you found this informative. Next, we're doing 45 minutes. So you know how to prepare for 25-minute one-on-one lessons. Next, I'm going to talk about how to prepare for your 45-minute group lesson on the Classin platform. Now, this preparation will also work well with any platform where you have to prepare a blackboard or a whiteboard before your lesson. But I work particularly in Classin, so this is for your Classin preparation. Right, so let's jump right into it. 45-minute lesson preparation. Now, your 45-minute lessons are usually group lessons of about 4 students, depending on the company you work for. Some companies you might be teaching to an entire class with a Chinese teacher on the other side facilitating. Then you might set up your board slightly differently. But for most of us, we teach 2 to 4 students in the class, and you need to have your students interact. There should not be any time where any student should be idle, except when you are reading or doing role play. 2 students can't speak at the same time. Those are your only exceptions. Otherwise, every student needs to be busy with something. And it takes a bit of preparation and thinking to get that right. Now I'm going to show you how I do my 45-minute lesson preparation. Now this preparation usually takes me about 30 minutes per lesson, but it is very important to prepare. As I said in the beginning, a poorly prepared teacher is sorely obvious. On the Classin platform, you will log in and then you will see this page where you will see a little button on the right where it says preparation, and it'll be for all your lessons you have for the day. Now be very careful when you're preparing on Classin that you are on the right date. It is very easy to be on the wrong date by mistake and prepare for the wrong class. I haven't done that before, but I know of teachers who have, and it is solely embarrassing. So make sure you're on the right date and that you're preparing for the right classes. Again, day before or the morning before would be the best time to prepare for these. I would recommend the day before. If anything happens on the day, you know that you're prepared. Once you've clicked on the preparation, it will take you to your preparation classroom. Now, this will be your specific classroom where you'll be teaching, and only you and your students and your support team have access to this classroom. So it's a blank canvas, as you can see. There are a few steps that I follow. I have a nice routine when prepping for my 45-minute classes. First, I will click on Authorized Resources, and then I will select the PPT that the company has placed there for me. Sometimes they will also have a song or additional PPTs that you can look at. The most important thing you need to look at is the PowerPoint presentation with the lesson material. I will then flip through all the slides, the same as I did with the 25-minute classes. I will look for keywords, I will look for grammar, key sentences, pay attention to the topic, and look at the number of slides that I need to teach. This gives me an overall idea of how I'm going to present this lesson. Once I've gone through the PPT, I will then create a folder in my cloud disk with the lesson ID. This is, to me, that is important, because that means if I teach the same lesson in the future, it's already there, everything is together, and I don't have to prepare for this lesson again. As mentioned, I don't like to struggle, I don't like to battle, and I don't like to do double work. So you do it once, and it's there, and you never have to prep for this lesson again. Right, that's just it. Okay, so now I have my PPT and I have my folder. Next, I will always add a hello song. This is a nice warm-up activity to get your children going. You can do the actions with them. It helps them relax into the lesson and also gives a minute or two for some students who might be late for the lesson. So I have downloaded several hello songs, and there are even some hello songs who might be relevant to the topic you're teaching. I have a teen hello song, I have a phonics hello song, I have a general hello song. It's nice to switch them around sometimes. After that, I will then upload onto my cloud disk a relevant theme song or theme video. Now, it is a 45-minute class, so you have some leeway. However, your theme song or your theme video should not be longer than about 3 minutes. And it should be engaging, it should be hype, and it should be interesting and relevant to the topic that you're teaching. Can I say that again? Relevant to the topic that you're teaching. And you'll be surprised if you go onto YouTube, type in your lesson topic with the phrase ESL, and you will 9 out of 10 times find the video you're looking for, sometimes 2 or 3 to choose from. Then find the one that will best suit your children's age or level. Okay, so I have my PPT, I have my welcome song, I have my theme song or video. Next, I will create a welcome board on my blackboard. I like to do that because number one, it looks professional when the parents and children log in. You're already there. It shows that you're prepared. Number two, it gives the students something to look at, especially if they're 2 to 3 minutes early for class. Now, I use PNGs quite a bit in Classin. Those are your images with the clear backgrounds. I'm not really that tech savvy, so believe you me, when I discovered PNGs with a clear background on Classin, it was a life changer. It just makes your blackboard so much neater and so much more professional. I usually use the Clean PNG website. There is a link below. This website is brilliant because you can download several images in one day and they've got any image under the sun. So you don't have to register for anything. You're not blocked to say only 2 images a day, and it's quick and easy. Download to your laptop, upload to Classin. I've even got a PNG folder in my Classin cloud disk. So that's just a tip. Right, so I'm very excited about PNGs, as you can see. So essentially, we should now be prepared for class, right? Not yet. On top of all of this I've already set up, I will create and set up at least 3 interactive activities based on the PowerPoint presentation, as well as an additional extra time activity. Now this is what takes time. However, as I said, once you've done this once, it's saved in your cloud disk and you never have to do it again. So as mentioned, I do the 3 activities based on the PowerPoint presentation that the company provides. 9 out of 10 times, I will actually cut and paste the images off the PPT onto the blackboard and create a more interactive activity. It just allows space for students to interact with the material, and there's more space on the board, and you can be a lot more creative than just facing the actual PPT up front. I did a level 4 lesson recently on time and daily schedules. So I'm going to share 3 activities that I set up on the virtual blackboard for my students as examples of what you might do. Now, the world is your oyster. You can be so creative with these. You just need to think it through a little bit. Activity number 1 is a warm-up activity. This is the activity that I would do before I play my theme song. So sometimes it can be a free talk activity, other times it can be a guessing game. But for this one, I've taken the dice that you can use in Classin, and I've copy and pasted the clocks out of the PPT. So this is actually an activity on the PPT that I've just made a bit more interactive. On this activity, I will assign each student with their own clock. Next, I will give each student a chance to roll the dice. The dice that they roll, we will then select that particular time. They need to draw in the time on their own clock, and then we chant the time 3 times. I then clear the board and we do it again until each student has had 1 or 2 chances, depending on how familiar your students are with the concept of time. That's the warm activity. And then I have a song on time on the hour. Right, so that's activity number 1. Activity number 2, I've also cut and paste from the PPT. And here we have several times. We've got the words and we've got the clocks. So now what I do is I assign the clocks to the students equally. So each student has 2 or 3 clocks that they need to look at. And then they need to pick up and match the word times to the clock times. It is quite easy to allow them to do that. You just authorize their board and they can then pick up and match the times accordingly. This is quite nice. All of them are doing it at the same time, so they're all busy. And then after all the times we match correctly, we then chant the times again. Very nice, very interactive. Every student is busy in this activity. This is the wrap-up activity, which is a board game. And I've assigned each student a little character that they then roll the dice and move the character and say the time and the activity. Board games, word search, always a great hit with the children and gets them interacted as well, gets them really excited. Right, so those are my 3 activities. Once I've set up all the activities, remember also to lock your images. If you don't lock your images, then you can accidentally delete them or move them during the lesson. You don't want that to happen. So set your board up, lock all your images. Don't lock the parts you have to move. I've done that before. Okay, just lock the items you want to stay put. Right, so you've got your board. So let's quickly just summarize what we've done in Classin. So we looked through the PPT, we created a folder, we uploaded a hello song and a theme song, then we set up the welcome page. I set up and created at least 3 activities and an additional extra time activity, and then you're done. Once I've done all that and I've double checked it, especially for spelling, I then go and save it onto my cloud disk in the folder that I created and close the breadboard. You're done. And that is how I prepare for my lessons. I hope that you found this video informative, and if you did, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to know how you prepare for your lessons. But for now, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. I am Simmy. This is Class in the Cloud. Goodbye.